to the crisis in Ukraine. Marcus.
Yeah, the Russian ruble has come under fresh pressure against both the euro and the dollar. It comes as the United States is turning up the heat on Russia by putting asset freezes and visa bans in place for some Russian officials. European leaders also say that they could follow suit with similar measures in reaction to Russia's incursion into Crimea. Meanwhile, Ukraine's new leaders have told the EU summit they want an association agreement with the bloc. At that summit, EU leaders also pressed ahead with a plan to send financial aid to the tune of 11 billion euros to Ukraine. It's meant to restore faith in the Ukrainian economy, but in Kiev, there are fears that it won't be enough.
Barricades and blocked traffic, bad news for this French businessman.
Our business is based 300 meters away. This is Kiev's main thoroughfare.
Ignace Ertlet's construction consultancy has branches in Kiev and Moscow. The businessman employs around 100 staff, yet in Ukraine's current economic climate, he fears chances of escaping unscathed are slim.
We're in a sector that's very sensitive to variations in investment. If investment falls, as we fear it will this year, we're going to have to make cutbacks.
Over the last few weeks, Ertlet's employees say that private orders have dwindled.
Of course, everyone's a bit scared. I have friends who have already lost their jobs.
The European Union's offering Ukraine an 11 billion euro aid package. For Ertlet, it's too little, too late.
11 billion, which won't arrive for a long time and which will be spread over a long period. What will be the effect on the Ukrainian economy? I don't think it's that which will save the day.
With the economy on the brink of collapse, Kiev will have to accept painful reforms before Ukrainians get their hands on much of the European cash. Meanwhile, the country's entrepreneurs fear a backlash from Moscow and the prospect of Russian sanctions on Ukrainian businesses.
In other news, the European Central Bank has raised its growth forecast for the Eurozone this year. The announcement came in connection with the ECB's monthly rate-setting meeting in Frankfurt. It kept the benchmark interest rate on hold at the record low of 0.25%. The ECB says growth in the Eurozone this year will be 1.2%. That's marginally higher than previously forecast, in a sign that the recovery is gaining ground. ECB President Mario Draghi said he's ready to act in case the forecast darkens.
The risks surrounding the economic outlook for the euro area continue to be on the downside. Developments in global financial markets and in emerging market economies, as well as geopolitical risks, may have the potential to affect economic conditions negatively.
Mario Draghi speaking there. Stock markets, they were trading higher on the back of the ECB's upgraded growth forecast and those comments from Mario Draghi. US stock markets closed not long ago in mostly positive territory. The Nasdaq was the one exception there. Shares, they were higher stateside as the number of Americans who applied for jobless benefits dropped to a 3-month low last week. Now, the focus in Europe was very much on the European Central Bank and shares. They were in positive territory at the close, with the DAX, though, in Frankfurt pretty flat, it needs to be said. Telecom shares boosted the CAC 40 in Paris, which overperformed its European peers. And taking a look at some news in brief, and first to why those telecom shares soared here in Paris. It followed the news that Bouygues is offering 10.5 billion euros to buy rival mobile operator SFR. Investors, they're betting there'll be fewer actors in the French mobile industry looking ahead, and with that, higher profits. It's not a done deal just yet, though. Cable operator Numericable also wants to buy SFR, setting the scene for a bidding war with Bouygues. French bank BNP Paribas has suspended a senior currency trader. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. It says the suspension is part of a global investigation into currency manipulation. Regulators on both sides of the Atlantic are looking into claims of wrongdoing by banks. BNP Paribas has declined to comment on the news of this reported suspension. And South Africa has introduced rolling blackouts for the first time since 2008. The state-owned utility Eskom is calling on both businesses and domestic users to preserve energy. It's declared a power emergency after heavy rains left coal stockpiles too wet to use in its coal-fired power plants. OK, that is the business roundup for now. It's back to you, Mark.
Marcus Carlson, pleasure to see you and thank you very much indeed.